But like, why does everybody think this is okay? Nobody, like, we have lost the plot, you guys. We have lost the plot. I just don't understand, like, why clout comes before anything, even respecting fellow human beings. Hey humans, it's Hannah. Welcome back to the channel. Are you guys ready to make some people mad? Today I want to talk about something that has been on my mind quite a bit lately that I've just noticed across social media, especially being so deep in the paranormal space like I am. And I really want to talk about it because I'm curious to know if I'm the only one who feels this way. And that is basically the commodification of ghosts, making a profit from the paranormal, and how in a lot of cases I think that's fine. Exhibit A, I think, like when we do TikTok videos, I talk about how most of the videos I watch, it's fine. Like, people are just, it's harmless. People are making little paranormal videos, and even if they're making money off of it, it's pretty abstract, you know? Ghosts as a whole is always going to be a thing. We can't avoid it. And I think if we're to say that you can't make money or make a career off of doing something in the paranormal, then we're going down a slippery slope of not being able to do or make a career talking about literally anything. You know what I mean? For the most part, ghosts are non-controversial and harmless. However, I do think there's a lot of cases where people cross a line from just being interested in the paranormal, talking about the paranormal, trying to see if the paranormal is real, and they cross a line into being exploitative, being disrespectful to the dead, and just overall kind of giving me the feeling of ick. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to be watching some TikToks together from accounts that are doing just this thing that I think is problematic, and we're going to talk about it. So today's video is supported by a sponsor. I'm going to roll to that, but I'll be right back with you. Really quick, I want to tell you guys how I've been staying warm and very cozy in these cold winter months, and that is with today's sponsor, Bombas. Bombas is a purpose-driven brand, so they care a lot about helping other people while also giving you the most high-quality products. They donate an item with every item that is purchased, and they have donated over 150 million items to date. So let's do a little mini Bombas haul. First, we have the 4-pack of the women's quarter-length socks. These are the other socks I got in the pack. I am obsessed with these colors. They are so cute. If I had to choose, I think the turquoise are my favorite. They're super thick. You know how when you pick up an item for the first time, you can tell its quality, like you can feel the quality just by touching it? That is Bombas socks to me. So they're super thick and they don't have a big toe seam, which is so uncomfy, and it's hard to, like, you know, you have to like get the sock straight and stuff in your shoe. Like, have you ever had to do that? Take your shoe off and readjust your sock because the seam is in the wrong place? Yeah, you don't have to deal with that with Bombas because they don't have that. I also wanted to try out their compression socks. I have not tried these yet, but I'm really excited to wear them on my walks. I am a big walker. That's the majority of my exercise, is long walks, but with that often comes a little swelling. I have heard that these are really, really good for planes because, you know, with like altitude swelling in your leg. So if you wear the compression socks on the plane instead, it's really going to help with that. So I'm really looking forward to these. Bombas has something for every season and every occasion though. They have a whole line of cozy winter essentials. They have an athletic line with lots of movement in mind. They also have socks specifically made for snow, so they're great for skiing and snowboarding trips. Bombas has a 100% happiness guarantee, so there's no risk in trying it out. And remember, one purchased equals one donated. So feel good and do good with Bombas, knowing that your purchase is doing real good. New customers get 20% off their first purchase. So just go to bombas.com/HannahTheHorrible and use code HannahTheHorrible at checkout for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com/HannahTheHorrible with code HannahTheHorrible at checkout. This first TikTok account we're going to talk about today is actually what inspired this entire video and what might become, there might be a part 2 or 3 on this because I have a lot of accounts actually that were sent to me that I couldn't fit all in one video. If you guys don't know, I posted on my Instagram stories a while ago asking for ideas on this topic where people have seen this specifically so I could talk about it in this video, and I got quite a few responses. I have more than enough to make several parts to this topic. But the first account I want to talk about is one that I came across that I'm actually, unlike the other accounts, most of these accounts, I'm not going to block out their username. For this account, I'm making the possibly controversial decision to not call them out by the account name. As much as I don't like what they're doing, I feel like since they don't have millions and millions of subscribers, and I honestly think that this person is not intending it this way. Like, I honestly think this person is doing a business strategy that they think is ethical. And so it's not really the point of who this is. And I think it's more important to watch the video so that when you come across this stuff, you can do some critical thinking for yourself and not get scammed. So let's watch this video together first.
I saw your orb again. Oh, hi. Said hi, Hannah. That's my name. Can you move the K2 meter? I saw your orb. Whoa, it's literally right in front of the camera. Did you give me nightmares last night? The voice? Did I like the voice where you said, come here and die? That was horrifying. Whoa! Oh my god. Can you show me you're here with one of the tools? Good job with the K2 meter. Can you put your hand over that red dot? Good job. I just heard banging. Was that you? Good job with the tools. I just saw your orb. Again, twice.
So first of all, a few things about just debunking this video. Notice how every time something physically moves in the video on its own, there's a cut in the video. There's an edit. So right before the little device moves off of the doll's lap, there's a cut. Right before the doll falls off the chair, there's a cut, and then it goes back to what it is. That's a huge red flag to tell you that this video is 99.9999999% likely to be set up, and that she is faking this content to make these dolls seem more active than they are. As for the EVPs, the electronic voice phenomenon, those are those devices that they use in a lot of paranormal videos. You'll see those in a lot of ghost hunting shows and stuff. I am biased, I will admit, because I just don't like the EVP devices. I think that they're complete bullshit. It's simply pseudoscience. Like, let's pretend for just a moment that ghosts are real, hypothetically. I don't think, even if we knew for a fact they were real, I don't think EVPs would help us communicate with them. I don't think that in any world EVPs are accurate or reliable. EVPs are pretty well known to be pseudoscience, and they have been debunked. A lot of it relies on the pareidolia effect. So it relies on you trying to find patterns in non-related stimuli, which is very natural for the human psyche to do. We want to see patterns and stuff. So EVPs rely on the pareidolia effect, and it is well thought that these messages and the words that come out of EVPs are simply stray radio transmissions. And then furthermore, notice that she not only puts a caption on screen from what she believes the EVP is saying, and she repeats what she believes the EVP is saying. That is going to influence whoever whoever is watching to also agree that that is what it's saying. Like, you're more likely to hear the words that are put right in front of you. And I've noticed that not just with her, but every time I've gone on ghost tours and stuff, the tour guide always tells you what you're listening for in the EVP without letting you hear it first. These devices are unreliable. Plus, she's adding fake movement, in my opinion. She's adding fake paranormal activity into these videos as well. We're going to watch one other video by her, and then I'm going to tell you why this account is in this video.
Can you show me your hair right now? Good job. Can you touch your favorite tool? Definitely the REM pod. Can you turn that off? Can you turn it back on? Good job. Can you hold it down in your favorite color, honey? It's black, but you said green. And green, black and green. Wow, that's going really fast. The sweep rate. Were you in the army? You can use these words in this app to communicate anything you want to me. Are you able to piece them together to tell me how you passed away? Ammo? Did somebody SHOOT you? Yeah. Are you 28? Christy, how can I help you? Is there anything you want to tell me right now?
Okay, so from that video, you might have guessed I want to talk about the flashlight thing mostly because that's the biggest difference of this video and the other video we just watched. So first of all, yet again, notice that the video cuts right before the flashlight, before she asks the question for the flashlight to go off, and then it cuts back to the wider frame yet again after the flashlight goes back on. So again, this video is very clearly edited and pieces are cut out of a much longer video. And yet again, everything she's using is common tropes in paranormal investigations, including flashlights. A lot of TV shows, again, you see them using flashlights to get yes or no questions answered from supposed ghosts. The whole idea, if you don't know, is that ghosts can interact with electronics and with energy fields, and therefore, since they can't directly talk to us with words and spoken language, they can use these devices to answer questions when we're verbalizing them out loud. This trick works specifically by using a twist on and off flashlight, so not the button flashlight with the button on the back, but a twist. So those flashlights, people have learned that if you twist them in a way that is in between on and off, so it's not fully twisted one way or the other, then it is notorious for often flickering on and off, so you can get really good footage of the flashlight appearing to go on and off on its own. Furthermore, I saw online that many people were, this is anecdotal, I haven't tried this myself, but many people were saying that specifically the brand Maglite is what people like to use in paranormal investigations, because Maglite specifically is notorious for doing this pretty easily, for switching on and off by itself if you twist the mechanism in the right place. So that is how a lot of paranormal investigators are making the flashlights turn on and off. And in this video, that's why I pointed out that that part is cut in the video. There's an edit cut right before and right after that, because my suspicion is that she asked this question over and over, or kept asking it, or kind of knew that flashlight and kept adjusting it just slightly until it was working for her, and would ask that question until it worked in her favor, until the light turned off, and then it turned back on its own, as those flashlights are notorious for doing. So she could have been standing there for 10, 20, 30 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever it is. She could have been standing there talking to this doll and waiting for it to all line up correctly so that she could splice that into the middle of the video. I can't prove it because we can't see the brand name on the flashlight, but I do have to say, if you zoom in, the flashlight that she's using in this video does suspiciously look very similar to a mag light. Not that that would really matter either way, but just something to point out. Okay, so great. Hannah, all you're doing is debunking. We do this all the time. What of it? Why is this in this video? I am talking about this account in this video because the entire point of her account is posting all of this very, very convincing ghost evidence for her dolls to lead you to her eBay shop. Because if you want a haunted doll that does all this activity for yourself, you can go to her eBay shop and purchase one for yourself. This person is so good. She is so lucky because she finds hundreds of haunted dolls that are very active. In fact, she has sold almost 800 of them, and she currently has 85 super haunted dolls on her site for sale. And they're just all haunted. They're all haunted. She has hundreds of dolls that are all super haunted. Isn't that so crazy? And if you want one for yourself, you can buy one. Of course, you could buy it for, as the cheapest I could find was $50 for a tiny one, or they go all the way up to $125. Even though I can almost guarantee you the vast majority of the dolls she found at Goodwill or other secondhand shops for probably $5 to $10, if that. So why is this problematic? In my opinion, people flip stuff from secondhand stores and sell them for a profit online on Poshmark, eBay, Etsy all the time. For me, the difference is the fact that she's faking extra activity. It would be one thing if she was just showing the different dolls on her TikTok, maybe doing some readings with them with these devices without any sort of her input whatsoever, with the audience just being able to decide for themselves whether the doll is haunted. And the fact that she is clearly adding in extra activity, faking movements of these dolls, faking the flashlight thing to convince you that these are haunted, because the more somebody is convinced that this is the real deal and she really has all these haunted dolls, they're way more likely to buy it if she can prove it, right? You just come across a haunted doll on eBay, which there's a whole market of those, don't get me started on those, and people tell you the backstory and stuff on eBay, but adults can of course buy those knowing that it might be real, it might be fake. My problem with this account is that she is specifically profiting quite a bit, might I add, off of faking ghost content. If she wasn't adding fake activity to the videos, I would not have an issue with this, because that would be somebody's own accord. If they want to spend $100 on a super cheap secondhand random doll somebody picked up, that's their prerogative. That's their choice. They might think it's haunted. They might think that it's total bullshit or whatever, or they just think it's a fun thing to have. But the fact that she is adding the fake content is what bugs me and just gives me the ick about this. People are going to go buy the dolls from their shop hoping they're going to be super active and have a lot of paranormal stuff happen to them after that, and they're going to be vastly disappointed when nothing like that happens. Or if stuff does happen, it's confirmation bias. They are just telling themselves, they're attributing random noises in their home or something falling off the counter. They're going to attribute it to the haunted doll because they believe that it's haunted, because they saw the proof on TikTok. So they're going to attribute those random things that would have happened anyway to the doll. So they're going to use confirmation bias to convince themselves the doll is haunted. To me, this is really skirting the line of false advertising and skirting close to the line of scamming people. In my opinion, I can't say that it is a scam for legal purposes, but in my opinion, this seems a little scammy to me. Of course, she says on the eBay site that this is for entertainment purposes only, but I have I've done quite a bit of digging down the eBay haunted doll rabbit hole. I've watched many videos on people who have bought haunted dolls from eBay. They all say that because they have to for eBay policies. So eBay requires you to say that it is for entertainment purposes only in order to keep selling on their website. But I see a lot of creators saying like they don't say for entertainment purposes only. They say per eBay's policies, wink, wink, this is for entertainment purposes only. So that really does nothing to change my mind about this. And I'm not even saying all haunted dolls are fake. You guys know I'm skeptical, but I am, I'm not really a believer, but I'm not fully a skeptic either. Let's say ghosts, let's hypothetically say ghosts are real again. Like, I'm not saying all haunted dolls are fake. If ghosts are real, maybe it's possible that an item can be possessed by a doll, but those items are typically found in museums. Like real haunted dolls are found. Annabelle is locked up somewhere. Robert the doll is on display locked up in a museum. Like, those are typically not just found all over. You don't typically just have hundreds of them laying around to sell. That just logically makes no sense. So I don't like this. However, I will give her props for at least not like saying a dead celebrity or saying somebody real is in this doll or anything. At least it's pretty abstract, and it's people that are from hundreds of years ago, supposedly, that have passed away that are possessing these dolls. Or I also suspect that she makes up the stories completely behind these dolls, which is good, honestly, because again, it would be disrespectful if she attached it to real people, at least real people from that, in the past 50 to 100 years. But that can't be said for the other accounts we're going to talk about today. I am so sorry, you guys, but we need to talk about Rug Lady again. The other two accounts I'm talking about today, I'm not going to bother blurring the names or trying to hide their usernames because it's simply pointless. They have millions of followers on TikTok. Everybody knows who they are. We've talked about at least Katie before. So Katie Santry is Rug Lady, as we affectionately call her. I made a whole video about her, so you can go watch that video if you want to know the whole saga, the whole story. However, I will say, looking back, I think I was too nice to her in that video. I think I was too fair because her behavior since then has not gotten better. Okay, so if you want the full details, go to that video. However, I'm going to do a very, very, very quick synopsis of the entire story. So ready? Pay attention. Katie Santry posted on TikTok about how she found a rug in her yard, buried very deep under her yard, not just a regular little scrap of carpet, a giant, huge rug buried very, very, very deep down. And on the same day she posted about this rug, she also posted about how her laptop broke overnight and how nobody was in that room. It wasn't the dogs, it wasn't her stepkid, it wasn't her boyfriend. Her laptop broke and everything was strewn about in her office, and she was convinced that she was haunted. Me and a lot of other people think that it probably was her boyfriend or her stepson and they just didn't want to tell her, but that's neither here nor there. So she thinks there's all this paranormal activity going on in her house. At the same time, she finds this rug out and she shows a little glimpse of this rug, and everybody on TikTok for some reason goes nuts. People think, oh my God, why would there be a rug underground like that if it wasn't hiding a body? Obviously, there has to be a body in there. Katie starts blaming all this paranormal activity and connects it to her neighbor who passed away. Her poor little old lady neighbor named Margaret passed away and apparently wasn't found for a few days or a few weeks in her house and was apparently a hoarder, which is important information for later. Everybody's telling her to dig out the rug. Katie's trying to tell people she can't dig out the rug. It's so deep in there. It is so big. They need special equipment to dig out this rug. But since so many people were asking and it was going so viral and people were being so pushy, she said, fine, bet. So she got like 15 friends and people that lived in the area who are willing to come help her. They all brought shovels. They were all going to go dig out this rug together. But before they could, they got a call after she had already alerted authorities about this whole thing. They said that there wasn't really much they could do, but because it went so viral, viral and people were calling in, I suspect, of to the police department as well. And it was just getting so much attention on social media that the homicide department in her area actually did call her before she went to go dig up this rug herself to say, hey, actually don't touch it. We are interested in making sure that there's not a body in there. We just want to make sure that this isn't a crime scene. So don't touch it now, because if it's a crime scene, you don't want to mess with it. So Katie said, fine. So she calls off the dig. She waits. Police come, they bring cadaver dogs to her home, and the cadaver dogs smell and they alert the police to this spot on their own. They didn't lead the dogs to this spot. The dogs just found this spot in her yard and did alert to police that they smelled possible human remains. Over 100,000 people were watching her live streams. The police come out with their entire homicide force. They're taping off the area. They're bringing in excavators because they can't just dig it up with shovels. They finally get the rug out, and alas, there is no body in the rug. Another quick side note, just because there's no body in the rug, it doesn't mean the dogs messed up. It just means that it could have been blood. It could have been anything. Somebody from a previous owner or somebody with that rug many years ago could have bled on the rug. They could have had a nosebleed. They could have cut themselves in the kitchen and bled on the rug. There's other things that could have alerted the police dogs. The police dogs just are there to tell officers that they should investigate. They're not like definitive proof of anything. So that's the TLDR of Rug Lady. Rug Lady got this 15 minutes of fame, and she just, she ran with it. She is so drugged by the clout that this brought her. She's convinced she's a full-on influencer now, which she kind of is. She does have millions of followers on TikTok, and she mostly posts like pregnancy, lifestyle, mom content now. But she also started a podcast called The Haunted Hotline. So before we get into that part, I do need to explain why she rubbed so many people the wrong way, why so many people did not like the way she was handling this. And that is because throughout this entire journey, Rug Lady, Katie Santry, sorry, I'll try to call her Katie. Katie went ballistic. Like, she was so excited about the prospect of a body being in her yard.
Good morning. Millions of you. The rug happens to not have a dead body. Fingers fucking crossed.
She's dragging this out. She's doing this for clout. Shut the fuck up. No, I'm not. I just don't know yet. So what is going to happen next, you impatient little bitches? We have to wait for her to go see mom and dad at the nursing home and hope that their dementia has not wiped the memory of the rug.
Obviously, we will stream this live, and then there will be a final reveal video posted. When we will start digging, I was actually just out at the hole because People Magazine needed some pictures.
It looked like she was going to cry when police told her there was no body.
Nothing to indicate any kind of body, human remains, anything.
That is the best news I could have ever heard.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we got the rug out there. It's gone.
Okay.
We tried to put everything back the best way we could for you. You might want to check on the fence on it once you let your dogs out.
Yeah.
Just make sure all that is how you guys want it. I'm assuming it went in there the way you wanted it. So
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Now, that could have been relief. Going super viral super quick is scary, right? So that was kind of my point in the first video, is that, like, I understand where the criticism comes from, but going super viral is really overwhelming. Maybe she seemed really excited when really she was just overwhelmed, right? Well, I kind of take that back, and I think she was excited, and I think she was legitimately bummed out that there wasn't a body in there, because the second they figured that out, she was like, wait, don't go anywhere, don't move on to the next thing. She was like, what happened to my laptop? My laptop broke. What happened there? That must have been, I'm still convinced that that's the neighbor.
Let's praise the Lord. There's no body. I can stay in my house. Everyone knows where I live, but at least it's not haunted by that. But who broke my laptop? Who broke the laptop? Because we've still got the next door neighbor that died the day I moved in. Her house got boarded up the day my computer got broken. So I don't know.
And she would just like set the seeds for wanting to continue this, and was literally like Please keep watching me, even though viral moments are sometimes just viral moments. And then people did not like how she kept bringing up Margaret, her neighbor who passed away, and kept blaming all the paranormal activity on her and was not being super kind to this poor old woman either.
But here is where I'm thinking I might need more of a psychic than an excavator. While the police were here yesterday, looking at the carpet and deciding what to do, he mentioned that he was the one who came when the next door neighbor died. My neighbor died in their house, and she can't haunt a house that is literally destroyed, right? Like, who the fuck is she gonna haunt? That's no fun. That would be boring. Why not haunt the next door neighbor? The same day that my computer gets broken and my desk gets strewn about, they started boarding up the dead lady's house. It feels sus. It feels like, hey, if they're gonna board up my house, I'm just gonna hop over to the next house and haunt them and fuck their day up. And they also just started digging up a rug, so like, this will be so fun. If I was a ghost and I was a dead lady who had no family, because the cop told me she also had no family, so she has no one better to haunt. If I was her, I would haunt me. That would be fun. So anyways, yes, we will get this rug out. I swear to you, I promise we will. Secondly, are we now thinking potentially, if the rug happens to not have a dead body, fingers fucking crossed, is it the neighbor? Is it my dead neighbor that died the day I moved into this house, mind you? Dead neighbor dies the day I move into this house. The day they're boarding up her house, my computer gets shattered and she has no family. She has no one better to haunt. So I don't know. What are we thinking?
If you don't let those elderly angels rest in motherfucking peace, I'm going to lose it.
She has no family. She has no one better to haunt.
So Katie, like I said, she's more of a lifestyle content creator on TikTok now, but because of this whole rug saga, she now sees herself as a paranormal aficionado, or at least somebody passionate about the paranormal, which again, I'm just like, this is super petty. This is not a criticism of her, actually. This is me being super petty because I don't own the paranormal space, obviously. So many people that aren't super horror or super paranormal fans can still be a fan of the space. You know, people call me posers all the time, a poser horror fan all the time. So like, I get it, but it feels like she just made this because that paranormal angle worked for her in the past. It didn't really seem like it was a real passion of hers, and she was just kind of doing it to keep the clout going. That's neither here nor there. So anyway, so Katie made a paranormal podcast called The Haunted Hotline, where she has people call in their paranormal stories, similar to what I do on my second channel. And I listened to the first episode, so you don't have to. This first episode of the podcast is literally just her retelling the entire rug story. Like, she wants to start the podcast off by just retelling the entire rug saga and how she became so famous, basically. So we just talked about how Katie rubs a lot of people the wrong way. One of those ways is that throughout the rug saga series, she would like flip us off a lot.
Some of you will leave me afterwards, and that's fine. You can write off.
And she does that again verbally in the episode of this podcast. Like, listen to this.
A few hours into the dig, they told me that they needed to bring in an excavator. And can I just tell you, the validation that I felt in that moment for every single person who kept telling me to go grab a fucking shovel and dig it out myself? It took an excavator. It took 15 to 20 men digging and an excavator. That's my middle finger to everyone who told me to go pick up a shovel.
She can claim she's joking. We all know that she's not. She wants followers. She wants attention. She wants to be an influencer as her full-time job, but she doesn't want all the negative stuff that goes with it. That's how I'm interpreting this. Like, I'm sorry, you post shit publicly, people are going to have something to say. It's going to be good. It's going to be bad. And I think that's a lot easier to take in when you slowly become an influencer, like me or a lot of other creators. We don't just, we do usually blow up one day in a small amount, like we get 100,000 subscribers. You know, it's rare that we're getting millions of views and over 100,000 people on our lives. So I think a lot of people that become influencers more authentically and more like a slower organic growth kind of way, I think we understand the negativity that comes with it and the hate comments and the trolls and the death threats that you inevitably get and all that. And I think when you become followed this quickly, I think a lot of the times you don't know how to take that. But sorry, it's still just the internet. You can't, I'm sorry, you posted this publicly. You can't be mad when not every single person agrees with you. And it feels like Katie wants to be an influencer, but she wants all of the good stuff and none of the bad stuff. She wants nobody calling her out on any of the problematic shit. And for this actual clip, nobody was being rude. They just were really curious and invested in the story. Anyway, so my biggest issue with this episode is that she makes Margaret, yet again, the real old woman who had recently passed away, her neighbor, like the sole focus of this episode. She is now convinced that this neighbor, Margaret, is the one who broke her laptop, and that I'm not even kidding. She thinks that Margaret broke her laptop to bring attention to the rug, because Katie says she would have never posted about the rug on TikTok if it weren't for the laptop breaking in the same day, because it was kind of like oh, weird stuff is happening in my life right now. Like, not only did my laptop randomly break, but we found this rug in the yard, and that's what started the whole thing. So she thinks that Margaret's ghost, her poor old neighbor, is the one that broke her laptop so that she would talk about the rug on TikTok. She also claims that Margaret made the cadaver dog sit on the rug and alert the police officers to the rug. And that way the police would dig it up, even though there was no bodies in there. But Margaret made the dog sit there so they would dig it up, regardless of the fact that there wasn't a body in there.
During that reading, through her little dings, she confirmed that not only did she break my laptop, but that she did make the dog sit. She started talking about her cats, which, let me tell you, she had many, and they all just roam our neighborhood now.
And why? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, the end of the episode, Katie concludes that this... I'm sorry. At the end of the episode, Katie concludes that Margaret did all of this, brought her attention to the rug, made it go viral on TikTok, had the police dig it up, all because Margaret needed her help. Because of this entire saga and blowing up, it led Katie to get a medium off of TikTok to collab with her as well. And so they could talk to Margaret, and Katie and this medium, which we will talk about in a minute, helped Margaret pass to the other side. It was all because of Katie. Margaret was stuck in the middle of the spirit realm and our realm, and she really needed Katie's help. She cried for help, and Katie and this medium helped Margaret pass on. I wish I was making this up. Listen to this.
But because her home was boarded up and her body had been found after days or weeks of being left in her home, basically, Margaret was having a hard time crossing over. And through my conversation with Amy, we were able to help her make it to the other side. And honestly, there hasn't been any paranormal activity since. But every once in a while, when I hear something I can't explain or something falls down for no reason, I just say hi to Margaret.
She said that because Margaret was suffering from hoarding mental illness and had passed away and nobody found her for days or possibly weeks, but Katie doesn't know which, because nobody found her body right away, that Margaret couldn't be at peace and Margaret couldn't fully go over to the other side. So thank God Katie was there.
Now, not to be a bitch, but I don't give a shit that her house was boarded up or that it had water damage. Like, that does not affect my day in any way, shape, or form.
If you don't let those elderly angels rest in motherfucking peace.
So did you get all that? Margaret passed away, couldn't cross over, so she broke Katie's laptop so she would talk about the rug in her yard, made the dogs alert to a cadaver in the rug, even though there wasn't one, just so that they would dig it up, just so that she would go super viral, just so that Katie would eventually hire a medium to help Margaret pass over. And she claimed it worked. She hasn't had any sort of activity since, except every now and then.
And through my conversation with Amy, we were able to help her make it to the other side.
What do you even say to this? This is grandiose thinking, first of all. This is exploitative. This is incredibly disrespectful to somebody who actually passed away. But it gets worse. So that medium I was talking about, the psychic medium, the self-proclaimed psychic medium on TikTok, who is named Amy Boleski and has over 3 million subscribers on TikTok, came over to Katie's house because they were going to do a few collabs together. They were going to film some videos together, and then they were going to do these spirit sessions, which were the ones that Katie claims helped Margaret pass over. Amy Boleski is the third account that I'm talking about today. Her and Katie kind of go hand in hand. Very, very quickly to let people know that all three accounts we're talking about in this video are in fact women, and I just wanted to give everybody a heads up that that was not intentional. That's just how this video ended up being. I did not mean to only put women in this video, and I know that that can come off a little like women bashing women, which is not my intention whatsoever. I'm just calling out their actual behavior and what they're doing. There are plenty of men that do this exact same thing that I will talk about, assuming I make a part 2 or make another reiteration of this video. There are plenty of male psychics out there, and I will be sure to make it a little more diverse in the next video, just to clear that up before somebody gets mad at me. Okay, back to me. This is the one that I think is going to piss off the most people who are not in my audience, people stan Amy Bolesky. I'm not even kidding. We'll get into it. So first super gross thing that they do, Amy comes over and they're filming together, which is fine. That's a normal collab. They go over to Margaret's house and film the outside of Margaret's boarded up house that was boarded up after she passed away. They film the outside of her house without her permission. Obviously she passed away, but without anybody in her family's permission, anything. That would be one thing. That would be bad enough. That's gross to me. I cannot imagine just doing that and feeling okay about that. These two women go up to the window and they film inside the house. They film her hoarding situation without her permission, without anybody in the family's permission. Now, I'm not showing this because I think it's disgusting that they posted this publicly in the first place, but imagine, that would be not shocking for Katie, but a psychic medium whose entire job supposedly is to respect the dead, and she signed off on this too, and she was with Katie doing this. That is so gross to me. Why? I'm sorry, but hoarding is a mental illness that people legitimately suffer from. It's not just people being lazy or super messy. That is an anxiety-based mental health condition that people suffer from, and the vast majority of people with it are incredibly ashamed of it. They're incredibly embarrassed. Imagine having a mental illness like that is so physically visible, you know, for the world to see, and somebody after you pass away goes to film it and puts it online. What the fuck? What the fuck? Imagine, okay, Margaret passed away. She doesn't care. Imagine that is your mother, your sister, or your grown daughter has this, and without your permission, without some bullshit went viral on TikTok without your say, without you getting a say in whether Margaret was part of this story or not, and then somebody posts her mental illness online. What the fuck? I have no words. Why does nobody call this out? Maybe there were some comments in there that I didn't see, but like, why does everybody think this is okay? Nobody, like, we have lost the fucking plot, you guys. We have lost the plot. I just don't understand, like, why clout comes before anything, even respecting fellow human beings. So Katie and this psychic medium also live streamed their sessions in Katie's house, talking to the ghosts and Margaret, who they think is Margaret. Now, this is where I have to be sort of careful. I have to be incredibly, even more careful than I already am about fair use, because few disclaimers up top, because first of all, psychic mediums are notoriously defensive. This particular psychic medium has an incredible cult following. She is booked out for over a year. She is completely booked out. Like, people, so many comments I saw on her TikToks and other people's TikToks about this person being the real deal. People genuinely believe that Amy is a true psychic medium. I have a negative view of psychic mediums. I think they're all frauds, personally. Not just Amy. I think they all are. I think that if it's even possible to be a medium or a psychic, you're not profiting from it. You're not making it into a business. If you could genuinely do that, you are not advertising it to the world. Just my opinion. But I personally think that they're exploiting people's grief and pretending to talk to these loved ones for their own profit and benefit. With that being said, I like a lot of self-proclaimed psychic mediums like Amy. I don't think inherently they are bad people. I know from how angry I am that it doesn't sound like it, but honestly, I honestly don't think that Amy is just some inherently bad person. I think it's similar to MLM psychology. That is, again, total personal opinion, but I think it's very similar to when you're in an MLM, a multi-level marketing scheme, aka a pyramid scheme. When you're in one of those, you have to convince yourself. A common thing in MLMs is convincing yourself that sharing this opportunity and recruiting people into the pyramid scheme is helping them. And you honestly convince yourself that you are doing a service by giving people the gift of the opportunity to make a side hustle, even though there's a 99.7 or 99.9% chance that they'll lose money, something like that, right? So I personally think it's very similar to that, when a lot of people in MLMs are also not bad people. They're victims themselves. I think that a lot of psychic mediums have that same kind of thing where they need the cognitive dissonance and to convince themselves that they are what they say they are, and that they're helping people, and that they are genuinely trying to help people and bring people peace, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to live with themselves. That sounds condescending. I know it does. There's no way to say that without sounding condescending, but I honestly, honest to God, do not think that Amy's a bad person or that most psychic mediums are bad people. I honestly think that a lot of themselves have convinced themselves and truly think that they are what they say they are. They're not faking it. They honestly think that they can talk to spirits. But I am here to debunk that and explain to you why psychic mediums, not just, yet again, I'm not just picking on Amy, all psychic mediums are inherently, it's fraudulent. So some of you guys know this, some of you don't. We're going to walk through it because it's interesting. And the whole concept is cold reading. Now, like I said, I have to be incredibly careful here and be very careful about fair use, because I have reason to believe that this psychic medium, Amy, is in the Janet universe. And if you don't know who that is, you don't watch Do We Know Them? But Janet is a copyright lawyer from TikTok who straight up sued the Do We Know Them girlies on behalf of Lauren the Mortician. And I have reason to believe that they're all in this same universe because Amy has also collabed with Lauren the Mortician. So I just have a feeling they all use Janet as their lawyer. I don't have proof of that. I don't know. So I'm just going to say this right off the bat, that if anybody that I'm talking about right now is watching this, Amy, if you're watching this and you're really mad at me, you can be mad at me. I get it. I would be mad at me too. I understand why you would hate me, but I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm not doing anything wrong. You post this stuff publicly online. I get to have an opinion about it. That is how the law works. That is free speech. I get to commentate on what you're doing. And if just because I don't have something positive to say does not make it illegal, it doesn't make it a copyright crime. Everything I'm doing is under fair use. I'm going to use one video of yours as a transformative clip, and I'm going to add a lot of commentary to it so I can explain to my audience why I believe that you are just cold reading. If you are as secure in your psychic mediumness as you claim to be, this wouldn't bother you anyway. You'd be unbothered, because if it's real, who the fuck cares if I think it's not, right? With those disclaimers out of the way, we're going to watch this first, and I'm going to stop it while we're watching it.
And it's related to my grandfather.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just,
what is it?
You're able to tell me if he knows what we buried him with.
Oh, let's see. I don't know. Hang on. See if I have that in my head. Weird that I just saw you in pigtails in my head, and I have no idea why. Give me 1 second. So you did put like a suit jacket on him, correct? Or like an actual good jacket? Was that a thing? Okay.
Yeah.
He showed.
So for context so far, the person that she's doing the reading for asked if she knows if her grandfather knows what he was buried with. Which is interesting, because it's almost like this client is testing the psychic medium, because why couldn't she just say what he was buried with and be like, does he know? Like, is he aware? Because you know what I mean? But anyway, so, and notice cold reading number 1 is she goes, okay, for some reason I'm seeing you in pigtails. This is a woman talking about her grandfather who passed away. That's not a stretch. That is not a very crazy guess. That's not very specific. The vast majority of little girls have been in pigtails before, especially with their grandfather, or would have a memory with their grandfather of them in pigtails. So you know what I'm saying? Like saying something very broad that would apply to most people. And then she just said, I'm also seeing him in a jacket. Did you guys bury him in a jacket? That's also not a risky bet. The vast majority of people, if they're not cremated, if they're buried, they are buried in nice clothes, or they're going to be buried in a suit jacket. Let's keep going.
Be a little family album, like a picture album. Is that a thing? What is that about? Shut up.
My mom made a little silk pouch to put inside his coat pocket. He had 3 granddaughters and 1 great granddaughter that he never met. So we put pictures.
Shut up!
Pigtails.
Oh.
That's my daughter.
That is your daughter! Oh my God. He brought up the suit jacket, and then he showed me a little girl, pigtails, and he showed me photo.
Why is she shocked? Like, I'm so confused. Why is the psychic medium like, oh my God, this is crazy? She's the one that, why? Okay. So then also notice that then I'm seeing a photo album, and then the mom comes out and says, yes, we buried him with photos, and this is my daughter, his great granddaughter, with a picture of her in pigtails. So it seems all so amazing and accurate. My biggest thing with this that I want to point out is that the whole photo album, she said, is this a photo album? I'm seeing a photo album. So photo album, pigtails, and then the person who's getting the reading says it was a little silk pouch that her mom made, that they put photos in and put in his suit jacket. First of all, that's so sweet. That's so cute. But it's all this, again, this cold reading leading the person into this. This is all stuff that anybody could come up with. And also, it's not that much of a stretch to say photos. The vast majority of people who are buried are going to be buried with photos. You bury photos with your loved ones. Most people at traditional funerals where they bury somebody or somebody's cremated or they have a casket, they're going to put little stuff in there and it's going to be photos of people in there. That is not a risky thing to say, right? It's not as accurate as she's trying to make it seem. And then she wasn't accurate. It wasn't a photo album. It was a pouch with photos in it. And it wasn't her in pigtails. Like, I'm seeing you in pigtails. That's what she said. It was her daughter in pigtails. It was the man's great granddaughter in pigtails, not her. So the psychic medium actually got everything wrong, but just because she made a few guesses of things that are common in almost every funeral, especially for a grandparent, people are like, oh my gosh. The reason I know that she's very defensive is because somebody did call her out and say, like, I think she's just making this stuff up. And she responded and she was very, very mad about it. So again, I'm not going to show you because I'm going to be very sparing with showing anything from her because I don't know how litigious people like this are. But like I said, hopefully she doesn't have time to watch this video if she's booked out for over a year. But all I'm saying is that she probably wouldn't offer somebody like me a reading. She probably wouldn't want to sit down with me and do a reading for my grandmother. Like, I'm just saying. Like, I highly doubt that she would ever offer to do that. Because in order for the cold reading to work, the person that is talking to you has to be leading the psychic along with them. And additionally to that, cold reading is a skill. It's not like they're just pulling all this stuff out of their butt. They're doing this, I mean they are, but they're practicing this over many years. Cold reading is a skill that you acquire. Not everybody can do this, which is another way that it gives the illusion that they're super legit, is because over many years they have practiced this over and over on how to lead people into certain scenarios and having them do this. Another big common tactic is like saying, like, I'm really seeing the color yellow. And it's like, again, all little kids have worn a yellow dress, and it's kind of confirmation bias. The person with getting the reading done is going to rack, if the psychic medium says, I'm seeing purple, or I'm seeing glasses, or I'm seeing pigtail, they're going to rack their brain for something that happened in their past with that thing in order to go along with what they already are hoping to believe. Does that make sense? If she had said, I'm seeing a flower dress, that could have been one of the other granddaughters in a dress in one of those pictures. It could have been all this other stuff. Okay, so that is my take on Amy. Like I said, I don't think she's an inherently bad person. I think she honestly believes this stuff. I honestly think she thinks she can talk to spirits. And I will say that this is also not as bad as other psychic mediums I've seen. At least she is exploiting grief, in my opinion, but at least these adults are all consenting adults. They've all agreed to have these readings. They're sitting down knowing that there's a chance this could all be fake, you know, like it's kind of like they're informed on it. I have not gotten in this video about the psychic mediums on TikTok and social media that are contacting dead celebrities or missing people in the news, or the whole Gabby Petito thing. That is hopefully in part 2 if you guys like this video. So props to Amy for not doing that. And like I said, I think Amy seems like genuinely so sweet in her video. So that's why it makes me really sad that I have to call her out like this. But I will say it's not as bad as the other stuff I've seen. And like I said, at least she's not going on here and saying like, oh, this, you know, dead celebrity, like, oh, this is what really happened to them. This is what they told me, that this is what they were thinking, because that's a whole other beast for another day. So at least she's not doing this. I've seen much worse. But the last thing I want to talk about is that these two, when Katie and Amy did a live stream together to talk to Margaret, the neighbor, as we were discussing earlier, they do these readings, and one of the big things that Amy uses is a bell. So we're going to watch one of these bell clips really quick so you guys can see what I'm talking about.
You're gonna be okay down there? Uh-huh. Okay. Did it go off?
Yep. I'm gonna sit with you guys till she comes back.
Did it go? It went off when I.
Yes, Amy, it sure did. It went off right behind me. As soon as you went upstairs, it did that.
I know. Should I leave you down?
No.
Why not? Okay. I know you're around. Thank you for doing that. You scared Katie. That's not very nice.
I'm not mad at you.
No.
Okay.
Can you come and do it again or set off one of my other devices? I have my box in there in the other room where you're being a sneaky snake.
Break a computer.
Yeah, like my absolutely. Thank you. Just like that.
Yeah, girl.
Just like that. So
Okay.
my REM pod, when I take all my yes.
Mhm.
They're just confirming, okay?
I really appreciate that
And
confirmation.
that's what that is. It takes a lot of energy, but do you think you have it? Can you do it? Or can you ring my bell again? Yeah, thank you. That's easy for them. So that's how you know it's real, because I just asked her, and in the middle of asking her, she set it off.
She's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Love that for you, girl. Keep ringing that bell.
So
My posture's never been so good in my life.
I know, isn't it great?
I'm like,
Because this is what it is. So yeah, so I'm gonna have to say that Margaret is definitely around.
okay.
Okay, so is she the one that broke the laptop? It may be collectively, since you're out there and that was built later. Oh, I'm gonna say yes.
That's enough for you guys to understand what we're talking about here. This is why I feel so bad about calling these women out, is because they do look like fun. Like, they do look like people that I would want to sit down and have a drink with, and that I would have a really fun time in the club with and everything. It's just that, like I said before, it's just that I think they've lost the plot. That is my issue, is that they just seem to have lost the plot, and they do so many problematic things, and it's like one of those things where it's like, I'm rooting for you, or I want to be rooting for you, but I just can't, kind of thing. Anyway, okay, so this bell I was really curious about, because I'm like, ooh, how was this done? Now, like I said before, like, you know how I say hypothetically think about, like, what if ghosts were real? What would this be, you know? Now do the opposite. Think, What if we knew definitively, like everybody knew, we were proven by science, definitively speaking, that ghosts are not real? That we have to remember that that is a possibility, that ghosts are not real. Like, think about if ghosts are not real, just we know that for a fact. Imagine how ridiculous all this looks in psychic mediums and everything like that. Like, think of it in terms like that. But anyway, I was really interested in this bell because I was like, oh, just like the flashlight, this has to be another magic trick. And if you look really carefully at this bell on the chair, it is on something. It looks like the bell is on this little box thing. So I was like, oh, that's weird. So I was trying to look up this bell on Google to see, like, is there a special bell people use for paranormal investigations? And sure enough, there is. They're often referred to as dead bells, and you can buy them for $200. Some are cheaper, I'm sure, but the one I found was $200. And so I was like, interesting. I wonder if that's what she's using. I can't really tell because it's so far away, but I was scrolling through her other TikToks and I found her filming a close-up of this bell. And here it is. This is the bell that she uses. And sure enough, it looks exactly, it's not quite identical, but it looks almost identical to this dead bell that I found online. So it's not like she's just using a little reception desk bell that she buys off of Amazon. She's buying a special one made for talking to ghosts. So at least the description of this one on Ghost Stop says that though the dead bell appears like a classic reception bell, it holds a secret. It rings not by a button press, but by the presence of paranormal energy. Powered by an advanced electromagnetic field, or EMF, sensors, it rings when it detects fluctuations in the energy around it. The EMF sensor is natural magnetic only, chosen to fortify against most man-made interference like phones and walkies. And further down on this website, it says that the ghost can either ring the bell with the button or they can activate the mechanical hammer with EMF energy spikes. So in layman's terms, this bell goes off on its own. This is another magic trick bell. This is another trick bell that paranormal investigators use, because if ghosts, it doesn't make any sense that you would need them to be able to turn it off with electromagnetic fields. If ghosts are there in the presence enough to talk to you and they open doors and turn on faucets and stuff, as so many paranormal videos claim that they do, why can't they touch the bell? Why can't they make the bell go off then? Why can't they just touch the little button on the bell? That makes no sense. Why does it have to be hooked up to this contraption box that has a USB port to charge it on the back if this was real? So this is yet another gimmicky paranormal communication device. It's no different from EVPs and from the flashlight thing and from, you know, the rods and all of that. This bell can be affected by any sort of energy shift around, and that means electromagnetic fields, any sort of shift around it can make this bell go off. So again, like I said, it basically just goes off at random, and then confirmation bias allows us to attribute it going off with the question that was recently verbalized. And my understanding is that electromagnetic fields are pretty sensitive. So like any sort of energy, I think any heat or cold around the bell could potentially make it go off, but scientists correct me if I'm wrong on that front. So in conclusion, I just want to reiterate that I don't think any of these people are inherently bad people or irredeemable or anything like that. I think that honestly, they don't see anything wrong with what they're doing. I honestly don't think they do. But there's a difference between this kind of stuff and just talking about ghosts. You could argue that I profit off of ghosts. My TikTok debunking videos, I couldn't do without paranormal ghost videos on TikTok. I make money off my YouTube channel. I just made merch recently that says I have a future ghost and future poltergeist merch. I have the Peking Ghost merch that I just made. And that, you could argue, is profiting off of ghosts. People on TikTok posting their haunted house, you could argue, are profiting off of ghosts. There's nothing inherently, I don't see the issue with that in particular. I personally think that that is harmless, and that might also sound like cognitive dissonance because I profit off of it personally, but I'm not attaching a person to this ghost. And again, not just me, anybody talking about the paranormal. I think a great example of this that's unrelated to me making money is Nick and Ryan. I love Nick and Ryan. You know, Nick Crawley and Ryan from Nexpo. They both have channels here on YouTube that are much bigger than mine, but they collab together. They're friends, and they do this whole series. They have a whole separate channel called Nick and Ryan where they go to paranormal places in the US together, and they are genuinely trying to find out if ghosts are real or not. They're not, I honestly don't think it's some of the coolest stuff I've seen because they don't manipulate stuff like Ghost Hunters does. They don't edit stuff in. If they don't find anything, they don't find anything, and they'll say that much. They say, yeah, it was creepy, but this didn't actually happen. Or they'll just say like, yeah, nothing really happened out of it, because they genuinely want to know if ghosts are real or not. They're not trying to just convince themselves that they are real. I think that's a great example. So what do you think, guys? Should I do a part 2? You can let me know by liking this video and leaving me a comment, engage with the video in some way, and that will help it do well. And if it does well, then I will know that you guys want to talk about this more, and I will bring you more accounts, because I thought about doing more accounts on this video, but this is just the tip of the iceberg, and this video would have been way too long if I brought in everybody that suggested me videos. So please let me know if you want a part 2. And yeah, that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget, I have all the merch. Camping Cryptids is still for sale down there if you want something more intricate, but we also have all the Peking Ghost, future poltergeist down there, depending on what you're going to be when you die, down below. Don't forget today's sponsor, which is Bombas. And yeah, I'll see you guys all in the next one. Thank you so much to all of our patrons on the screen right now, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Okay, bye.